In this tutorial we will be looking into ABC's global portal and the character creator, which allows you to quickly set up characters and add global weapons, abilities and effects. The ABC Global Portal can be accessed by going to Window, then ABC, then Global Portal. Here you will find 4 tabs to the left which give you access to the character setup and the global weapons, abilities and effects. First we are going to set up a playable character. Start by getting your character object and dragging it into the left box under the menu items. Once done, this will show many options for creating your character. Since we are creating a player type, we will choose that in the character type drop-down and then select our chosen game type. Different game types affect such things as how targeting, movement and the camera will be set up, for example if crosshairs will appear or not. In this situation we are going to select the action drop-down, which will have the character always have the nearest enemy targeted ready to attack and allow a third-person type movement and camera. We then have the option to select how much of the character is set up. In this example we are going to have them all ticked, which includes adding component presets, which adds the 2 main ABC components with some base configuration like hit animations, health, mana and base stats. Any stats or hit animations already created which differ from the base stats will not be overridden, so none of your own config will be lost if you recreate characters in this system. Setting up targeting has also been ticked, which will change settings to cater for the action game type selected. Setup for weapons and abilities, if ticked, will automatically add useful tag holders on the skeleton to easily tell ABC where weapons should sit or abilities should activate from. We have also ticked for any abilities already on the character to be configured to match the game type selected. For example, in action any melee attack will make the character face the target. But if the game type drop-down action is instead selected, it will make the character face the mouse position. The last section handles UI, camera and movement. The UI options provides you with a drop-down of different types and positions. The UI will automatically link up to ABC settings, which is done from the character creator looking for objects with specific names. If camera and movement is selected, then this will add ABC-owned components which will be configured depending on the game type selected. Once happy with the configuration, we will hit Create Character. This can repeated multiple times as ABC will check and make sure the right setup and components are added depending on the options. So just because you made an action game type it doesn't mean you can't re-enter the character and then choose top-down action. The character creator will not clear any abilities, weapons, AI, stats you have created yourself, so feel free to play around with the different game modes. Now that the character has been created, we will need to make sure weapons and abilities will activate and be placed on the character correctly. To check and configure this, we will press the Toggle Weapon Adjustment mode. This will add some placeholder weapons and guns on your character. If they are not sitting in the right place, then simply rotate and move the parent object, typically starting with ABC underscore and end with the word holder. Once finished, simply press the Toggle Weapon Adjustment mode button once more and the weapon placeholders will disappear. Now the character has been set up, we can do the same process to create enemies to attack or friendly NPCs to aid us. The only difference here is you will not get options for targeting or movement, but the option to enable AI and choose a type, close or ranged. Close range will ensure the enemy keeps distance from the player, where close combat will keep the enemy up and close. With the characters all set up, we will now focus on adding global weapons and abilities. To start, we will first add the one-handed sword to the player. Making sure the character game object has been added to the character box, we will select the weapon and hit the Add Weapon button. This will bring up a box allowing you to link the weapon to the character. In this scenario we are also going to tick to import the abilities which have been created within the weapon and adjust the game type to action. Having this selected will have ABC configure the abilities imported with the weapon to fit an action-based game. Since this character is controlled by the player, we will leave the import AI rules unticked. Now this weapon and its abilities have been successfully added. You can navigate to the ability manager and you will find the one-handed sword abilities linked. Since we are in the ability manager already, we are also going to link a global ability spell from the drop-down list. This is an alternative way to add global items. For the spell we are going to override a few of the global settings by selecting a new trigger which will allow for the ability to be activated with a specific key and then also ensure it is enabled. With the sword and ability added to the player, we will now turn our attention to the enemy. Like before, we are going to add and link a mace weapon. Once again we will tick to import the abilities attached to the mace. As this is an enemy, we will also import the AI rules which have been added to this weapon and its abilities. Opening up the enemy's controller and ability manager, we can see the global weapon and its abilities has successfully been linked. The final step is to press play and start the fight with your newly created characters. That concludes a tutorial of the ABC character creator. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, ready to be notified of the next tutorials which will cover more in-depth functionality and provide guides on how to set up combat in your game.